Brew, are you ready to say he's on track, Luka, to have a better career than Kevin Durant?
Absolutely. Luka's a better all-around player. KD is a better defender, but it's not like KD was an all-league type defender, right? Yeah. He's obviously a better shooter. I don't know that he's a better scorer.
Excuse me?
Luka's just a better passer, controls the game more than KD does, a better rebounder.
But you think
look, obviously KD has the titles, but KD has never led his own team to a championship.
And
I think Luka will.
Right now for the NBA, we are at a very pivotal turning point. The new generation of NBA superstars is slowly but surely pushing out the old generation. As players like Ja Morant, Jason Tatum, Trae Young, Zion, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and of course Luka Doncic are coming to their own as all-time great players. And when you have such great young talent, the tendency happens to be you give those guys sky-high expectations while simultaneously downplaying the old guys who are now 33, 34, and 35 years old.
Future's now, old man.
And as you guys could have guessed for this video, today we're looking at Luka Doncic versus Kevin Durant. As Chris Broussard in the intro had some pretty spicy takes going at KD and really giving Luka some sky-high expectations. And the first thing I do want to address is Broussard saying Luka in the moment is the better overall player compared to KD. Now, for me personally, this take isn't really that crazy, as both KD and Luka are top 5 players and undoubtedly in the same tier of NBA superstars. But if you want to dive a little bit deeper looking at both these guys, when it comes to the NBA playoffs where it matters most, in the last 2 years, they are very, very similar. As on your left, you have Luka Doncic, who averages more points, rebounds, assists, and steals. And on your right, you have Kevin Durant, who is more efficient when compared to Luka. Purely looking at the overall numbers and the stats, I would say Luka objectively has the edge on Kevin Durant when looking at the playoffs these last 2 years. And if you want to talk playoff success, Luka in 2022 led his Dallas team to the Western Conference Finals, averaging 32, 10, and 6, and playing phenomenal. And the year prior in the first round versus the Clippers, took that team to 7 games, averaging 36, 10, and 8, and once again being fantastic in a thrilling Game 7.
That boy is good.
And I would say Luka's best playoff moment came in last year's second round, where he beat Phoenix, who won 64 games. Comparing that versus Kevin Durant, I would say beating that Phoenix team is more impressive than any victory he's had in a Brooklyn Nets uniform. And I do want to highlight Luka in his playoff career, not once in a series or run has averaged less than 29 points per game. To put it quite simply, Luka Doncic, when it comes to the NBA playoffs, has showed up every series, nearly every game, and every run. Compared to KD, who last year versus Boston only averaged 26 points on sub-40 shooting while being swept. 3 things Luka Doncic, not once in his career, has done in a series or a playoff run. And look, to be fair to Kevin Durant, that series versus Boston was arguably the worst of his career. And since that moment, now in the 2022-2023 season, KD's start has been pretty fantastic despite the chaos around him.
This is fine.
And at age 34 going on 35, KD still is a walking 30 points, he's a sniper from deep, and when it comes to big time moments, is still extremely clutch. Now, with that being said, can I definitively say he is better than Luka Doncic? As still looking at this year, Luka versus Kevin Durant has outplayed him both times, and in both those games, Luka's own team has beaten Brooklyn. And if you want to go one step further, Luka this year in a very small sample size is looking like the best offensive player in the game, and at worst, a top 3 player. Now, looking back at Chris Broussard, one point he did make is that Luka Doncic, in his mind, is a better scorer than KD. Now look, I'm not the biggest Kevin Durant fan, but saying Luka's the better scorer, I think, is a little premature. As KD still at this age is an elite talent at putting the ball in the basket and is a borderline 50, 40, 90 player. And when it comes to purely scoring and shooting, KD still can get buckets at the rim, in the post, from the mid-range, even the three. I can't say Luka Doncic at this point isn't a better scorer than KD, maybe in the future, but right now in this moment, Kevin Durant simply checks more boxes at scoring than Luka Doncic. And looking past that argument, one thing Broussard also said is that Luka at this point is on track for a better career than KD.
Oh my.
This right here is a very, very spicy take, considering KD, in most fans' mind, is a top 15 player in NBA history. And Broussard saying this is really downplaying Kevin Durant in Oklahoma City in his young career. As at age 21, he was averaging 30 points per game, leading the NBA in scoring, and helping his OKC team win 50 games. And by 2011, in his third year, helped them win 55 and lead the playoffs in overall points per game. And looking the next year in 2012, at only 23, he won his third straight scoring title, and in the playoffs, beat the defending champion Mavericks, beat Kobe's Lakers, Tim Duncan's Spurs, and made the finals where he averaged 30, outscoring LeBron James. Those 3 years right there, before age 24, are pretty damn impressive. And Luka right now at this point, when it comes to overall playoff success, does not clear Kevin Durant at the same age. And when trying to project Luka Doncic to be better than Kevin Durant all time is a very, very tall task. What he's going to have to do is win some MVPs as well as some titles. And looking at the MVPs, each of the past 2 years has been top 10, and this year is a runaway favorite to win the award. And to remind you guys, back in 2014 Kevin Durant, when he won it, he was 24, the exact same age of Luka if he wins it this season. Now, looking at NBA championships, this is the big thing. As KD, of course, won 2 in Golden State, but those rings are highly scrutinized, really devalued, and weak by most fans' account. And putting that aside, you have to give KD credit. In the NBA Finals where it mattered most, he showed up and won 2 MVPs. So to some degree, those championships do count, they have some value, but they're not nearly as valuable as some other championships from that decade. So hypothetically speaking, what Luka has to do to pass Kevin Durant, he has to have multiple years of playoff dominance, MVP caliber seasons, deep playoff runs, and 1 year where he makes an epic run and wins the championship. The only problem with that, playing in Dallas right now, this roster is not suited for an NBA title contender, as Luka for Dallas has an absurd 39.7% on usage percentage. That is an absurd and mind-boggling stat, and for NBA history, it is the third highest all time, only behind Harden in 2019 and Westbrook in 2017. 2 guys who notoriously put up big-time stats but had playoff struggles. I tried desperately to find a player who won a championship being a one-man offensive team, and I'm sorry, I cannot find it. It doesn't make Luka a bad player or anything like that, but a guy carrying an offense so heavily, it's simply never been done on a championship caliber team. Now, with that being said, I'm still betting heavily on Luka Doncic to get at least 1 championship. In the next decade, I think he'll definitely do that with a Dirk-type run like in 2011. If he does that, passing Kevin Durant all time is definitely in play.
I think Luka has a chance to go down as the best offensive player ever.
Wow.
I think that's on the board.
I'm not going.
I think that's on the board, and I think it would be disappointing if he is not one of the 12 greatest players ever. If he doesn't end up with a better career than Larry Bird, and I shouldn't use that because that's another white guy and everybody does that, better career than Dr. J, which are they're right neck and neck, Akeem, Shaq in that area, I'll be disappointed.
It's definitely pretty hard to listen to Nick Wright a lot of times, but this time, I'm not going to say he's completely wrong and out of bounds. As once again, he's making a prediction that could be wrong. And at least for me, this prediction is not completely insane. Now, let's think about this. Luka Doncic right now is 23 years old. Let's say we get this Luka for the next 7 years. A guy gives you 30 points, 8 or 9 assists, is pretty efficient, and a knockdown player in the big-time clutch moments. If we get that guy for the next decade, I mean, saying he's the best offensive player all time would not be that crazy. As right now already, when it comes to all-time playoff scoring, he's up there with Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And him being a great passer, great playmaker, combined with that scoring ability, is simply dynamic. And with that being the case, it's not outrageous to say in the future he'll be a top 5 offensive talent in NBA history. Saying he'll be the best all time, that might be a little bit of a stretch and a debate we can have. Luka being better than Larry Bird, Hakeem, and Wilt, even Shaq, accomplishing that would be Luka reaching his absolute peak and his full potential. I mean, looking at someone like Shaq, he won 3 straight championships and was arguably the most dominant player of all time. Someone like Larry Bird won 3 straight MVPs, and Hakeem Olajuwon went back-to-back with 2 all-time great titles. As great as Luka is, when it's all said and done, I don't think he'll pass those guys on my all-time list. So, as always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.